But have you heard of a movie flopping at the box office? Snow White just bombed at the box office again. How the hell did that happen? You've heard of a movie flopping at the box office, but have you heard of a movie flopping at the box office twice in 2 months? Snow White did just that.
You know the saying, go woke, get broke, and Disney's gonna lose money on this movie, and I believe it only made less than $1 million in China.
Rachel Zegler just tanked her career. Backlash hit hard. Ticket sales crashed, and it all spiraled after she trashed the original Snow White, insulted Trump voters, and clashed with directors while rewriting everything.
But it wasn't sincere, because she's had a long history of saying woke, annoying things. Our new Snow White.
Spotlight's gone cold, and she's finally facing the chaos she proudly caused. Tiach?
She's an asshole. That's number one.
You called her a pig?
She's a pig.
She was supposed to be Disney's next mega princess, the fresh new face of Hollywood hand-picked by Steven freaking Spielberg. And somehow she managed to ruin it all in record time. You'd think someone who'd beat out thousands for West Side Story would know how to hold onto that golden ticket, but nope. Rachel landed the role, won a Golden Globe, became Disney's darling, then went full self-destruct mode. It's honestly impressive few people star in a Spielberg film, win awards, and still land on everyone's block list by the next election cycle.
I never want it to come off as me being ungrateful for the opportunities I have. I can also be having the greatest time and simultaneously wishing people would stop sending me death threats.
Let's rewind.
Let's go back.
West Side Story should have launched her straight into the stratosphere. Critics loved it. She had the look, the voice, the youth, everything Hollywood craves. But guess what? The movie flopped. Not just a slight box office. Miss No One showed up. And yet Disney looked at that disaster and thought, yep, let's hand her Snow White. Let's give her one of animation's most iconic roles and slap her face on everything. From dolls to theme park banners.
She's dumb. But maybe she'll learn. You know what? Whatever I called her, it worked.
And here's the kicker. Disney called it bold and inclusive a statement. They said, well, congratulations, Disney. It was a statement. Statement on how to tank a 100-year-old brand in under a year. Once she landed Snow White, all Rachel had to do was keep it together, smile, wave, say something nice about the original film, and ride the wave. But no, Rachel thought she was smarter than the entire Disney legacy.
The cartoon was made 85 years ago, and therefore it's extremely dated when it comes to the ideas of women being in roles of power.
She started roasting the 1937 classic like she was on a comedy panel, calling it outdated, saying the prince was a stalker. She basically tossed the original story in the trash like it was beneath her. And then she had the nerve to declare, her Snow White isn't dreaming of true love, no. She wants to be a leader. 'Cause apparently, romance is a dirty word now, and fairy tales need TED Talks.
What would you say to those who are just kind of overly critiquing the film at this point? You've worked so hard on it. All right, congrats, Rachel.
Audiences didn't just roll their eyes, they stormed off. You could almost hear Disney execs choking on their branded coffee cups. You don't trash the foundation of the story, you're rebooting and expect fans to throw rose petals at your feet. People grew up with this film. They wanted nostalgia, not a revisionist lecture about how love is outdated and princes are creeps. What Rachel thought was empowering just sounded like someone trying too hard to go viral on Twitter.
Snow White is called Snow White in this version of the film because, of course, she is not white as snow, is because she and her family go through a snowstorm and survive the snowstorm, and so it's a mark of her resilience.
But wait, we're not done. Things really went off the rails when the casting controversy dropped like a bomb. Let's address the elephant in the room. Snow White is called Snow White because her skin is literally described as white as snow. It's not subtle. So, when Disney cast Rachel, a Latina actress, the internet didn't just debate, it exploded. Was it about race? Authenticity? Depends who you ask. But Rachel's damage control only made it worse. she claimed no in. This version, Snow White, refers to surviving a snowstorm. I'm serious. A fairy tale rebranded into a weather forecast. Critics were like, is this real life? Even fans who supported her were
22-year-old actress faced backlash for her negative views on the original 1937 film and the prince character, which she labeled a stalker. Branding expert warns that Zegler comments could impact the film's reception. She has been accused of gaslighting and dubbed a fake feminist. Disney faces challenges of managing Snow White's portrayal.
The backlash was insane. This wasn't just trolls in the comment section. This was Reddit, Twitter, YouTube, blogs, podcasts, all of them lighting her up. Unlike the Little Mermaid casting mess where Disney controlled the narrative, this one spiraled. It stuck. It wasn't about Rachel's talent, it was about her taking one of the most iconic fairy tale characters and acting like she was too cool to respect the source material. And the worst part, all felt so smug.
Oh my gosh, I saw the well, we didn't even see, but I saw the logo and I went, that's my name, Snow White's up there, and I cried my eyes out.
But if you thought the Snow White disaster was peak chaos, because political Rachel is a whole different mess. During the 2024 election, when tensions were already sky high, our girl decided to jump in head first, eyes closed. She hopped on Instagram and dropped this gem. May Trump voters never know peace? Yep, she said that. Millions of people saw it. I just think it is terrible. She's been brainwashed into believing that Trump is this hateful figure. And to combat it, she released a bunch of hateful messages that said she hopes that Trump supporters never find peace and that Trump never finds peace. And half the country immediately added her to their mental block list. Like, forget about being a Disney princess. Rachel basically tried to curse half the nation with insomnia.
I just think it is terrible. She's been brainwashed into believing that Trump is this hateful figure, and to combat it, she released a bunch of hateful messages that said she hopes that Trump supporters never find peace and that Trump never finds peace.
She came out and took a large dump on half of the country. Everyone who voted for Trump, I remember her words. She hopes they know no peace, really, and that Trump knows no peace. And she didn't stop there. She followed up saying she feared raising her daughter in a world where Trump was president. Which, hey, personal views are fine. But if you're the face of a family-friendly billion-dollar franchise, maybe, just maybe, don't openly wish misfortune on a huge portion of your potential audience. You're not in a niche art film. You're in. Snow White. Disney is built on marketability. Princesses are supposed to be neutral, sweet, and sellable, not out here casting verbal hexes on swing states. The man's already been almost assassinated twice, so maybe check the rhetoric. So I attacked her, and then she came out and she said, I apologize. Like, I went too far. What did Disney do, you ask? Absolutely nothing. They didn't defend her, didn't reprimand her, didn't even put out a limp apology. Silence, which in Disney speak is corporate panic mode. It's not protecting a star. It's waiting to see if the storm dies down so you can quietly back away and pretend none of this ever happened. Disney star Rachel Zegler, who went on a tirade this week about how terrible everything is now that Trump won and that she's living in a world.
So she came out and took a large dump on half of the country. Everyone who voted for Trump, I remember her words.
She hopes they know no peace.
Right,
really,
and that Trump knows no peace.
Where her imaginary daughter that she doesn't have can't have an imaginary abortion in the future. She's very upset about that. And here's what makes it even worse. Rachel's too proud to backpedal. She doesn't apologize. She doubles down. Humility, no grace, just more gasoline on an already burning PR disaster. Instead of making a mature correction, she turns every backlash into another lecture. It's like she wants to prove she's not just an actress, but a thought leader. Except no one asked for it. People just wanted a good Snow White movie. That's it. They weren't signing up for political commentary. the last gasp of a show trying to stay afloat. Rachel's career, once on track to be the next big thing, had officially become the punchline of every joke. Her Broadway debut, which should have been a chance for redemption, turned into yet another example.
The man's already been almost assassinated twice, so maybe check the rhetoric. So I attacked her, and then she came out and she said, I apologize. Like, I went too far.
Of her complete disregard for the fans who supported her. She didn't just flop in the theaters, she actively sabotaged her own chance at a career. Come back by turning a simple performance into a PR disaster. And don't get me started on the backlash. Social media exploded. People dragged her for having the audacity to perform for free on a balcony while the paying audience inside was stuck watching a live feed. That's not art. That's a slap in the face to everyone who bought tickets. Then, of course, the inevitable happened. Ticket sales nosedived. The show went from packed houses to near-empty rows. They had to start offering pay.
Disney star Rachel Zegler, who went on a tirade this week about how terrible everything is now that Trump won, and that she's living in a world where her imaginary daughter that she doesn't have can't have an imaginary abortion in the future. She's very upset about that.
What you want deals, trying desperately to fill seats. The buzz that was supposed to carry Rachel through this tough phase only fueled the fire, and she became the punchline of every meme and viral tweet. Critics weren't kind either. What was supposed to be a show-stopping performance turned into a national joke. But the real kicker, she did it to herself, over and over again. With every interview, every social media post, every ill-timed rant, Rachel Zegler managed to outdo herself in sabotaging what should have been a dream career. From West Side Story to Snow White to Evita and beyond, she threw away every golden opportunity handed to her. And now she's not just dealing with a box office bomb, she's facing an entire career on the brink of collapse. All because...
And we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
She couldn't stop playing the martyr, couldn't stop preaching, and couldn't stop insulting the very people who made her famous in the first place. Rachel Zegler's career wasn't just ruined by a string of failed projects. It was destroyed by her own mouth. She took what could have been a shining career, the stuff of Hollywood legends, and turned it into a cautionary tale. How not to handle fame, how not to treat your audience, and how not to build a career. Because when the audience stops showing up when the merch gathers dust on.
They're remaking the movie, they just got rid of the dwarves, okay?
Okay, but what do they call them?
Why would they get rid of the dwarves, though?
Magical creatures.
The shells, and when even Disney quietly distances themselves from you, you know it's over. She thought she was above it all. Now she's a lesson in hubris, a symbol of how quickly the mighty can fall when they forget who put them on the pedestal in the first place. And just like that, Rachel Zegler, once the darling of Disney. The future of Hollywood has been ghosted by the industry she thought would always welcome her.
If you disagree with this sentiment, I don't need your business. Thanks.
End up sinking the ship you're supposed to be steering. Rachel Zegler didn't just clash with directors, she practically bulldozed the entire vision of the films she was involved in. It wasn't about telling the story, it was about her telling. Her version of the story, Snow White wasn't just a fairy tale, was her platform for a personal political agenda. And that's a surefire way to alienate the audience. Fans didn't buy tickets to see Rachel Zegler's take on Snow White's feminist reimagining. They bought tickets to relive their childhood memories of the iconic princess, not to be lectured on gender politics. The same applied to her time on the Evita set. She had a chance to prove herself as a serious Broadway performer. But instead, she turned it into another platform to push her narrative.
Rachel Zegler is extraordinarily woke, but she's woke in a way that's quite deranged.
Reports from both sets painted the same picture. People were tired. Tired of the endless rewrites, tired of the constant need to fit her own agenda into roles that didn't need it. It's one thing to have a vision, it's another to override. The original creative direction for no reason other than to put a self-serving stamp on everything you touch. Instead of being an actress who elevates the work, Rachel became the work's biggest obstacle.
Has been accused of gaslighting and dubbed a fake feminist. Disney faces challenges of managing Snow White's portrayal and controlling actors' statements to prevent negative effects on ticket sales. Despite Rachel Zegler's playing the lead role, experts suggest that Disney executive might need to reconsider her suitability for promoting the film.
Let's not forget her infamous balcony stunt at Evita, the performance where she took a crowd of paying customers and left them watching her from a screen, while she serenaded random strangers outside for free. It was both tone-deaf and unprofessional. For someone trying to bounce back after Snow White's failure, this was the kind of PR disaster that only made things worse. And in a way, it was a symbol of Rachel Zegler's approach to her entire career where the audience, the fans, the people who are actually paying to see you are the last thing on her mind.
Snow White did just that. You see, the movie opened on 4,200 screens back on March 21st. It did $42 million domestic opening weekend, and then it fell off by a significant 66% the following weekend. Over the next 7 weeks, its theater count would dwindle to just 310 screens.
Even when things were imploding, she didn't take accountability. She didn't say, hey, maybe I was wrong about this or that. Instead, she dug in deeper. She kept pushing her narrative as if the very people who were rejecting her were the ones who needed to learn something from her. This kind of arrogance only deepened the divide. She alienated her fans, annoyed her co-stars, and wore out her welcome with the industry that had once adored her.
She's an asshole. That's number one.
You called her a pig?
She's a pig. I know, I'm harsh. Sometimes I really
She's
get
a
on
young
her
girl.
Oh, fuck her.
We've called people slam pigs, so.
There we go. Thank you. Anna gets it.
No, I know. But
In the end, Rachel Zegler's downfall isn't about talent tits, about a complete disconnect from reality. It's about a Hollywood star who didn't understand that you need to stay humble, stay grounded, and remember the audience who made you what you are. No amount of political stances or personal crusades will save you if you forget that. Her career trajectory went from potential queen to meme-worthy failure in a matter of years. It's a sad reminder of how quickly the industry can turn on you when you've lost the one thing that matters most: the support of your audience.
And to everyone who hates when I win, the winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still line up to see her.
Oh my God.
And I can only hope.
What does that mean?
At this point, Rachel Zegler's future in Hollywood is uncertain. She may have been the next big thing, but the industry she once ruled has turned its back on her. She alienated everyone around her, from her co-stars to her fans, and it's not clear if she can ever recover from the mess she's created. But if there's one thing we've learned from her journey, it's that arrogance and entitlement don't make for a lasting career. And sadly, this train wreck is one we all watched unfold in real time.
And despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them, that at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
Rachel ever played Snow White, Disney's marketing machine went completely silent. It was like they were trying to erase the movie from existence, or at least from the public's consciousness. No signs of her anywhere. No merchandise, no banners. At the parks, no dolls for sale, just complete radio silence. This wasn't a simple marketing strategy. It was a quiet attempt to distance themselves from a disaster.
No one on the right side of America can stand the star of this movie.
The studio, once so eager to promote their next princess, now seemed to be hoping that the less said about Snow White, the better. Disney was in full damage control mode, trying to salvage whatever they could from the wreckage. And meanwhile, Rachel, once crowned as the new face of Disney, was now trapped in a whirlwind of backlash with her every move under scrutiny.
You don't seemingly like your own character, so she comes off as an insufferable, whiny brat.
What started as a fairy tale role turned into a cautionary tale. The movie that was supposed to launch her career into superstardom became a symbol of What happens when egos collide with the harsh realities of public expectation? It's a grim reminder. You can't force a legacy. You have to respect it, or else the castle you've been given will crumble beneath you. And let's not forget the whispers from the sets. The behind-the-scenes tension. Rachel's approach wasn't collaborative, it was combative. Stories of her rewriting lines, pushing her agenda over the script, and clashing with the directors became a common theme. Her attitude seemed to say, "I know better than you," as if she thought she was the true architect of the Snow White story, rather than just an actress playing a role.
Buy it. I don't think they're going to watch it. I don't think they're going to like it.
Every time she speaks, she gets less likable.
This truly is the worst casting, maybe, in the history of the film industry.
It was a dangerous game to play. She wasn't just acting in a film. She was trying to reshape the very narrative. And in the world of Disney, where the story is everything, that's a gamble you don't want to lose. Now, all that's left is a sad reminder of a golden opportunity squandered. Disney has effectively hit the reset button. Silently hoping the world forgets, Rachel Zegler was ever there Snow White. It's a hard lesson in humility. You can be talented, but if you don't respect the story, the studio, or the fans, all that talent can quickly become irrelevant. $300 million on Snow White. But when the reviews started coming in, it was clear that the investment had gone down the drain. Not just the box office numbers, but the emotional investment of Disney fans. The people who grew up with the
Rachel Zegler, she's an asshole.
You have nothing to do with the creation of Snow White. Right. You should shut up.
Spend 1 minute on Snow White and how it totally imploded at the box office this weekend.
Rachel is literally the star of a Disney movie, and she acts like she's some sort of victim, and that's the sort of mentality that is just poisoning people's minds. Like, she acts like her life is so bad.
Classic, who had waited for a live-action remake, weren't just disappointed, they were let down by someone they'd expected to be the next big thing. Rachel Zegler, once touted as the future of Disney, had become the face of everything that went wrong with the movie.
She just sounds bitter and angry.
I don't think they're going to buy it. I don't think they're going to watch it. I don't think they're going to like it.
And that's the real sting for Disney. They bet on her, put all their chips in her corner, and expected her to deliver not just a performance, but an image one that aligned with their brand. Instead, Rachel became a symbol of everything fans didn't want. They didn't just dislike the film, they disliked her portrayal, her attitude, and the fact that it felt like she didn't even want to be there when you're the star of a Disney movie. You don't just represent yourself, you represent an entire legacy. And when you undermine that legacy, the fallout is swift. Disney learned the hard way that you can't force an icon to fit into a mold. You need someone who understands that this is more than a role. It's part of a long tradition that people have a deep emotional connection to. At this point, Disney had no choice but to distance themselves. Snow White had already bombed, and they weren't about to double down on a sunk cost. The more they tried to distance themselves from Rachel by testing promos without her name or face, by limiting the merchandising, the clearer it became that she wasn't the princess they'd hoped for. Instead of a new face of the franchise, she became a cautionary tale.
I truly do believe that. There's something wrong with her. She's disturbed, she's unhappy, and she thinks it's about feminism and the patriarchy and about abortion. But the reality is she's just not stable, like the majority of people in Hollywood. They're just not stable human beings. I would highly advise that you boycott this film, no matter how much your children love Snow White.
And it wasn't just the failure of the film itself that sealed her fate, it was her attitude. Her refusal to accept responsibility for the mess she had helped create. Every comment she made about how she was misunderstood, how she wasn't being respected, just added fuel to the fire. Fans don't want to hear their princess complain about her role in the fairy tale. They want to hear about her journey, her character's growth, the magic of the story. But Rachel's version of Snow White was too wrapped up in political stances, rewrites, and lectures to connect with the audience on that level. It's a shame, really, because Rachel has talent. She can sing, she can act. But talent isn't enough if you can't deliver on the basics like humility, understanding your audience, and respecting the project you're working on. When you act like you're too good for the role, the audience notices. and once they do, it's hard to regain their trust. In the end, Rachel's Snow White isn't just a flop, it's a story of how an overinflated ego can derail a career faster than you can say fairy tale. Zegler had officially transitioned from being a promising young star to a Hollywood liability. The label attached to her name wasn't about her acting talent anymore, it was about the baggage she carried with every project. A series of high-profile flops, controversial comments, and a growing reputation for being difficult to work with ensured that she no longer had the allure that made her the next big thing. At one point, she had all the potential to become a major Hollywood presence. But her controversial takes, particularly her outspoken political views, alienated a significant portion of her fan base. It's a classic case of pushing the envelope a little too far. Rachel's brand shifted from actress to activist in a way that wasn't just divisive, it was off-putting. The comments, the rewrites of her roles, the constant need to assert herself as a cultural voice, this wasn't the image Disney and other studios had in mind. When they handed her iconic roles, the results were clear. Projects that should have been box office hits were now crashing and burning. Her role in West Side Story was overshadowed by the fact that the movie didn't perform as expected at the box office. And her role in Shazam 2 became a reminder that no amount of star power could save a failing franchise. Her involvement didn't bring the magic the studios hoped for. With Snow White, the PR disaster was even bigger. It wasn't just a critical flop, it was a massive financial disappointment.
If you disagree with this sentiment, I don't need your business. Thanks.
They spent $170 million to make the thing, and it had the lowest opening, under $50 million, of any of these live-action Disney remakes that they've ever had.
It wasn't just about one flop. Or twit was a consistent pattern of disappointment that culminated in a reputation no amount of PR could fix. It's a harsh reality for someone who had so much promise at the beginning, but who ultimately couldn't balance her personal views, public persona, and professional roles in a way that made her likable or marketable. As Hollywood continues to move away from projects that tank at the box office, it's clear that Rachel Zegler's future in the industry is now uncertain. Studios want stars who can deliver more than just a performance. They need someone who can bring an audience, who can handle the pressure, and who doesn't burn bridges on the way up. Sadly, Rachel's journey seems to have faltered on all those fronts. Rachel Zegler's rapid rise and fall in Hollywood, a striking example of how fame can be both fragile and fleeting. She had it all: the talent, the recognition, the future as Disney's next big thing, but the pressure of stardom, combined with her apparent inability to navigate the complex world of public relations, led to her downfall. At first, her charisma and vocal talents seemed like they'd make her the next big Hollywood star. But as the saying goes, too much of anything is bad. And Zegler's outspoken personality and tendency to put herself ahead of the story began to rub both fans and colleagues the wrong way. It wasn't just her acting or singing that became secondary. It was the perception of her as a diva, someone more interested in rewriting classic stories than respecting the legacies they carried.
Disney wants to make more woke films that tank at the box office. They are more than welcome to do that, but maybe think of an original idea.
Her downfall was not the result of a lack of talent. Rather, it was her inability to manage her public image, relationships with industry leaders, and the broader culture that soured her reputation. Hollywood is built on marketability, and the one thing Zegler had failed to maintain was that key factor: likability. She couldn't keep the balance of being both an artist and a marketable personality. She got too caught up in her personal narrative, pushing herself as the thought leader on issues that weren't necessarily in line with what her audience wanted to see from her, especially from a young Disney star. Her situation is a cautionary tale for other young stars. Success isn't just about skill, it's about fitting into the larger narrative, understanding the industry, and maintaining a brand that people want to support. Once an actress becomes known more for their off-screen antics than their on-screen work, their career becomes like walking on a tightrope. One wrong move, and it's all over. Zegler's fall wasn't just about one bad project. It was a series. of missteps, each one leading her further away from the things that made her lovable to her fan base in the first place. From her disastrous interviews to her problematic takes on iconic roles, her actions built a wall between her and the audience. And no matter how much talent you have, if the audience stops believing in you, the industry won't either. Disney's attempt to remake its classic IPs might have backfired. Instead of revitalizing them, it alienated fans who were loyal to the originals. Zegler's role in Snow White symbolized that failure. Her public comments about the original movie, her contentious political stance, and her attitude toward the project soured public opinion, and Disney's effort to rebrand her as the next big star crumbled. Add the poor box office performance of Snow White, the negative reception to her Evita performance, and her emerging reputation for being difficult to work with. And it's clear why she found herself in what's often referred to as Hollywood jail.
A few lessons for Disney. Number one, stop cannibalizing all your old IP. Like, it's really bad. It's really bad business. Number two, please stop changing all of the historic plots, which actually have meaning to generations of people, to instead become generic woke story about how woman leads revolutionary uprising and she don't need no man.
For Disney, it's a lesson in the danger of constantly altering classic stories and trying to push new agendas without taking into account the expectations of fans. In Rachel Zegler's case, the industry forgot that just because someone can sing or act, it doesn't mean they can carry the weight of public expectation, especially when they're more focused on their own narrative than the one they've been hired to tell. So, as it stands now, Rachel Zegler's career is left in limbo. For her to make a successful return, she'll need to undergo a serious PR overhaul. Disappear for a while and let the negative press die down. And then, if she can return with humility and a clearer sense of who she is, there might still be a chance at redemption, but the window is closing fast. Her story isn't just a fall from grace. It's a hard lesson in how fame can be as fragile as a fairy tale, and how one wrong step can turn that fairy tale into a cautionary tale.